Cameron and Emily. Today's hosts are Adam Jones and Cameron Horine.
All right, folks, welcome to another episode of the Made for Agriculture podcast. My name's Adam Jones.
And I'm Cameron Horine.
And we're back today discussing a topic that I think we probably overlook. Cameron, I know we like to talk agronomy a lot of times, talk about some livestock topics, but one thing that in the space, obviously we work for MFA. We're a major ag retailer, and one thing we wanted to kind of cover was kind of what the online presence is, or what kind of tools there are out there for folks to interact with a network of trusted advisors. As we look across the Midwest or whatever, most growers have what they would consider, their network of trusted advisors, or who they're talking to, interacting with, based on inputs, based on agronomy, trusted advice, and all those kind of things. So we wanted to kind of cover some of those online tools, those digital tools today. We've got a couple guests in the room with us, so why don't you guys, Jason and Matt, introduce yourselves, if you would.
Jason Worthington, Senior Director of Sales and Agronomy with MFA.
Yeah, Matt Hill, District Sales Manager. I work primarily in East Central Missouri here with MFA.
Gotcha. Well, Jason and Matt, appreciate you guys taking time to jump on here with us this morning. So as you guys, a couple of Cameron and I's colleagues, obviously, why don't you guys kind of just give us some background, and maybe Matt, I'll throw it to you, but as far as, where do you feel like the space in agriculture, I always feel like we're somewhat behind, right? I mean, obviously, the rest of consumer goods and consumer good purchasing, or, interacting as far as being online, the ag space seems to be somewhat behind me. Is that something that you agree with, or kind of give us kind of the background on where you feel like the digital space has been kind of in agronomy or interacting with your advisors?
No, I think that's a fair statement, Adam, to look at just consumers and opportunities to anywhere from just check prices to make the full purchase experience online. Golly, time gets away, but that's, we probably had opportunities to do that for 15, 20 years in some form or fashion.
Sure.
And you move into things like, at least for me, some surprising areas, and COVID maybe accelerated some of this to happen, but you can purchase and a car, trade your car in, and never go to a car dealer or interact face to face with a car salesman. So, right. Just as an example of where the industry or where consumers are going, I think it is fair to say that the ag industry in general is maybe a little bit of a laggard in that evolution of online, purchasing experience. Happy to say, though, that some tools such as what we're going to talk about here today with MFA Connect are really making it more possible for input purchasers, farmers, ranchers, to start having that same opportunity.
Absolutely, Matt. No, that's a great point. I think, yeah, and I didn't mean it to come off that we're laggards, just generally or whatever. I think we're laggards in a bit of a way that we can explain, right? And I think, Jason, maybe you can kind of shed some light on this. Agronomy is way less prescriptive than just buying a red sports car, over
right.
the internet. So,
right.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that. And so you maybe catch us up on why you feel like, it's taken us longer to get to this point.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking when Matt was accurately describing it there. I think we're lagging, but I don't think it's from a lack of desire. Some people have entered that space, some to varying degrees of success
Sure.
on that, to try to become the online marketplace for ag inputs. And we often hear the term Amazonification, or however I've seen it spelled. I rarely pronounce it right. But if you use Amazon as the model, I don't know that that's fair. Even to like a car, right? For me, it's not. I've used the example before. One thing I never buy in the store anymore is my favorite fishing lure, because that favorite lure comes in like all shapes, colors, sizes. And if I go into Bass Pro or somewhere, I'm not guaranteed to get the color pattern that I want off the shelf. If I get it online, I can do that. And guess what? If they send me the wrong one, it's real easy to send it back. There's very little risk to that. To me, that car, that's a step change, right? People are starting to figure that out to some degree, but there's a lot more risk in that.
Yep.
Where does ag input sit in that level, right? There's a lot more risk. There's a lot more logistics than even buying that car. What time is going to be delivered? How much? What if I run a little bit short, my planter's not calibrated correctly, I need more seed than what I talked about? Who am I going to come back and help me fix those issues? Who am I going to be able to hold accountable if something didn't go quite to plan, right? So it's the uniqueness of agriculture, I think. I don't think it's the lack of desire to do something online. It's just the uniqueness to that. And I think we're starting to figure that out. And it's not, in my mind, it's never going to be purely, with so many moving pieces, it's not going to be purely just an online portal. It's going to be a combination of the personal and the impersonal, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, Cameron. I was just going to say it comes back to what we were talking about before with your network of trusted advisors, right? I don't have a network of trusted advisors to tell me what pickup truck to go buy, because I don't really need that, right? If I buy one of the major pickup trucks, it's going to work. It's going to fit in the passenger lane or whichever lane of the highway as I drive it down the road. It's a completely different animal. We need something more that allows communication to go with it.
Yeah. No, you've hit on it, Adam. As I was going to say, I mean, to a certain degree, ag is a relationship business. Like, there's so much of the relationship business that it is. I think that's part of why we've lagged a little bit, but also there is those ins and outs of things that you just, it's not a cookie cutter thing as much. So you have to have a relationship with those trusted advisors to be able to make some decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, and what I think, we talk about the combination of the personal and the relationship, right? And the ability to do business on your own time, right? I think that's what Matt mentioned, MFA Connect. That's really what we're striving for, is how much can the producer do on their own on the things they already know they want to do, right? At the time they want to do it. Do they want to do it when they're waiting for their kids' ball game to start, sitting in the bleachers? Can they get on there and look for some things? Right? Do they want to do it Sunday morning, after church? What is the right time for that person to be researching, engaging, and making his decisions? Some of those things he already knows he wants. He doesn't want to be bothered about them.
Yep.
We want to give folks the choice to do that, take it as far as they can, as they feel comfortable on their own, and then choose to engage at the right point in time.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. I mean, it's product discovery, it's a bit of price discovery, but it's also a communication tool. So I think this is a good time for, and I'll let either of you kind of tackle this, but we at MFA are launching kind of our new digital communication, product platform. I'm going to let you guys describe. You guys have mentioned MFA Connect a couple times, but I'm going to let one of you jump in and kind of describe kind of what the tool is and what aspects it covers, I guess. So
Okay. So, and I get that question a lot, Adam, and it's kind of a difficult beast because it does a lot. And, it's rare that you can say something does many things very well, right? I've always heard the analogy like, the Leatherman tool. It's a great pliers in a pinch. It's a great pocket knife in a pinch, but it's not very good at any one of them.
that's right.
I think this breaks that. I mean, goes counter to that logic. It does a lot of things really, really well. And it's going to be a platform that continues to evolve for us. But if I had to summarize it right now, it is a very, very simple yet robust tool for our producers to engage with MFA. Now, how can they engage? There's lots of things. They'll be able to pay their bills easier. They'll be able to pay by invoice instead of by statement, right? They can see each one of those purchases. Mm-hmm. Others who have used similar platforms, those few internal users who are also customers that are engaged in it already, they're finding that a very, very simple thing to use on that. We haven't launched to the greater public, but right now I can see that is probably going to be the easiest thing that's highly adopted. Looking at grain tickets, grain contracts, very simple, very easy to engage, very easy for record keeping. The other thing, you said it a few times, Adam, just communicating. It's a way to communicate on your time easily without having to dig through inboxes and text messages that are jumbled up with all your other communications, right? It's that one back and forth between your salesperson, your location manager, very easily in there. And that could be requesting quotes, that could be talking about where order progress, lots of things. But the key thing is how simplified it is. Matt, you've been in it as much or more than I have. I'm sure I missed several things.
Well, I don't know that you missed a whole lot because, like you said, we could turn this into a 3-hour podcast just to talk about all the features and benefits from what it's going to bring to our customers. But just to highlight, I think what Jason explained there does a really good job of understanding or showing how that we talked about still needing that interpersonal communication and connection with a team of trusted advisors, but then also layer on this digital tool that helps with some efficiency, bring some efficiencies to that relationship, and so it's kind of this ability to intertwine the two and maximize and leverage all of our strengths from both of those platforms. One example, just to kind of play it out, and he mentioned, like quotes, right? So we still got to have that team of trusted advisors to work with that producer to understand what corn hybrids are going to be the best fit for their acres. There's a lot of people doing some good work with that, but still today, I'm not aware of a digital tool that gets that right every single time for every soil type and every, geography. So we still got to have that team of experts on the ground to prescribe that. But once we get that part figured out, some digital communication via quotes and text messages within MFA Connect and things, we can really hone in on that and everybody's time. Everybody's getting busier and busier, and there's just less time, to make it to town to sit down and have a face-to-face, or schedules match up from the manager or the salesperson from MFA to catch the producer when they have a minute. So that's what I'm most excited about, is just that efficiency that it's going to bring to that relationship, and still be able to provide that level of expert personal attention to each of our customers that we pride ourselves in.
Yeah, no, that's a great description, Matt. I've been in the platform enough to have seen a lot of those things work, and it's a hard thing to describe, right? It's hard to describe in an audio format something that's very user friendly, clicks through very easily. But you mentioned the communication. You both mentioned some of the communication parts of it, and you kind of mentioned some of the emails and text messages. I think it does a really good job. And you guys are certainly more of an expert than I, but I think it does a really good job of kind of organizing those things from the producer standpoint, and making it be kind of the one place that you can go to. Well, I know my salesperson sent me those maps or that description of, and you're using your example, what hybrid to plant where, or I know we talked about what the price of that was, and rather than it kind of makes like a one go-to place. Well, we know that information is going to be in Connect, in MFA Connect, because that's what we use to communicate with about it, right? It's going to be tied to my account in that one place. I think there's a lot of value in that from the producer side, as you're trying to look up records or be like, oh, you know what? I know we talked about that, but I've hauled 40,000 bushels of grain and went to 15 kids' birthday parties since then, and I can't remember exactly what they said, Right. So I think that communication part of it is really great. On the product discovery side, Matt, or kind of the product quoting side, why don't you go into that just a little bit more on kind of what a producer is going to be able to do. I know you mentioned something about requesting a quote, but you can request a quote for specific things, right? Or have communication about specific things.
Yeah, absolutely. So they'll be able to search for and see, depending on the product and the product category, at least a very basic level of information about the products that we carry. And then request, if they want more information, there's an ability to request that information, and then also request a quote, which is simply just adding what products or group of products that you may have some interest in. By clicking request a quote, that signals the appropriate person in your area, whether that be your key account manager or location manager or whoever that is, the appropriate person to handle that request for that product. And they can gather the appropriate information and either contact you back, whether that be just push the information back through MFA Connect, or again, if it's more appropriate, sit down and have that kind of one-on-one conversation, set an appointment to meet and discuss it further. So, and that goes, like I say, it's extremely robust, and it covers all the major products that we have and offer that you would want to look up information on.
So on some of the product discovery, I mean, we've talked to a certain degree a lot of ag inputs. When I think of that, when you first think of it, I'm thinking of like plant foods or CP or seed on that. But obviously, we do have some farm supply products from that as well. When you looking at product discovery on that, and I don't know if this feature's here, so this is what I'm asking is like if somebody was wanting to, if they built some new paddocks and they were wanting to put in gates, and we sell 16-foot gates. Is there an opportunity for that producer to be able to look online and say, hey, does my local MFA, I need 3 gates, do they have an inventory of 3 gates?
So Cameron, that's a great question. One thing that I think, I'm going to ask your question about the inventory first, right?
Yep.
Answer your question about the inventory first. One thing that I think MFA Connect is going to allow us to do better is to leverage our network of stores. We have currently over 120 stores in MFA's network. We have some areas where we're going to focus, and we're going to, that number is going to evolve on where the stores are. But regardless of how that evolves, our network is one of our strengths. So just because store A doesn't have it doesn't mean it's not in somewhere in MFA. So what a producer is going to be allowed to do is look and search the products in our accounting system. What we have product numbers, they'll be able to search. Now, here's where we get into the second part of that, right? We talked about from the very get-go the uniqueness of ag retail, right? Or just ag input sales in general compared to Amazon, right? You request a gate, what color scheme is it, what gauge metal it is, well, all those things. Do we always get those things identified very clearly when we're on Amazon or somewhere else like that? Better example is probably on Ag Chem. I want glyphosate. How many different glyphosates are there on the market, right?
Hundreds.
Do most guys care? I mean, yes, they may want to go to a branded, a Power Max or something because of what stands behind it. Other guys may say, I am comfortable with a non-branded. So whatever the name of that glyphosate is, as long as it's the same concentration, it has the right surfactant load, it has all those things, they don't care, but which one's in inventory, right? Absolutely. That's the problem with the uniqueness of the ag sector in a lot of ways. So that's where they can go in there and request that quote, and before they just say order and ship it and get the thing they don't want, that's where the personal comes in.
Right.
And we reach back out and say, hey, I saw that you requested that gate. I saw you requested that jug of glyphosate. I got something that's just a little bit different, but let me see if this is actually fitting your needs, right?
Yep.
And what what our intent is to do that within one business day, right? You get that quote. Our intent is to do that within one business day. Get back to you and have an answer on that. Sometimes the answer may be, we cannot fulfill this quote, right? Because there may be something that people ask for that just doesn't make sense, but we want to get back in a courteous way so you can move on to the next thing and you're not wasting your time, right?
Yep.
Yeah, correct. And not to keep sounding like a broken record, but this process cannot be divorced from that level of a person needing to understand the needs of that producer, the person that's requesting that product, and offer, don't just knee-jerk say, yes, we got that, we'd love to sell you that. No, we need to make sure to say that, no, we actually understand what you're trying to do, and I'm glad you found this product, but really what I think would work better for you is this other product. And if we make it too automated, we lose the opportunity to really provide them, to Jason's point, the right product for them to accomplish their goals instead of just a product that might work.
Absolutely.
Now, I will say, I think the other thing this system sets us up for, what MFA Connect will set us up for, is as the marketplace continues to evolve and gets more sophisticated, there may be times and maybe products that, like I said with the fishing lure example, right, that guys are more comfortable making that purchase. That, I don't want to say that's what's happening today. I don't want to give a time frame on that.
Yeah.
But you look forward, we have to engage in this space because that is what's could potentially be coming.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure. I don't think it does anybody any good to stick your head in the sand and ignore market situations. So we've covered, I think, pretty well kind of what it does from a customer aspect and that level of communication. You're able to get quotes and pay invoices and deal with prepaid and all those kind of things. What talk to me, both of you guys obviously are highly involved from an internal aspect within MFA. Tell us what the system kind of helps us with.
So, I think a couple of key words that come to mind when I think about MFA Connect as it relates to our business as MFA employees is efficiency and transparency. Transparency comes as a result of the added efficiency, and I don't mean to suggest that there's been secrets or we've been hiding stuff from each other. But the fact is,
It's been hard to get it.
When you track things on a Big Chief tablet in your desk drawer or on a clipboard in your pickup, other teammates who might need that key information to properly bill it out or order it at the right time, or manage inventory at our retail locations better. This helps all of that. But the efficiency really is, again, kind of what we've been talking about, maybe haven't called it out specifically. It's the ability to work at the speed that each of our producers want to, as far as gathering information and responding with the information that they're looking for to make decisions on their operation. But then also what that does is that results in very efficient, well-kept records through our entire system to make sure we are able to fulfill that sale or that order at the right time with the right product, and give our organization clarity on our status of sales by product, clear from each retail location, clear up to the folks in our home office who are making buying decisions for the company.
Yeah, I'll give an example of something that I'll give a little peek behind the curtain for our producers on there, and how this may sound like internal, but in the end, we're all about serving the customer. And anytime we save time on the inside on any of these processes, we're better able to serve our customers, go scout their fields, get to the field quicker, do all those things. But Matt, I mean, you've worked with the sales team for several years now, and just to give an example, if you wanted to look up a customer's past sales history to figure out what he might be doing, run a report on that, kind of dig into your notes, your handwritten notes on some things that your customer really outlined are things that could help him going forward, work with that customer, develop a quote, get that order, then communicate it back to the manager, and then make sure it's carried through finish. Before this system, just from what you've seen of this system right now, how many man hours in just that process would you say is saved?
Oh gosh, somewhere between 15 and 20, probably, if not more. I mean, that would be, by the time you do all those different parts, it's good chunks of several days to do all that.
Yeah, and when Matt said something about gathering information and sharing information, the information's always been there, right? It's just the reports to run out of our accounting system was not near as simple as they are now. Not available on your phone in a matter of seconds like they are now. When you place that order, or the grower says, "I accept this quote," it's immediately in the hands of the manager. I mean, I imagine there's going to be several cases where one of our CAMs calls the manager, say, "Hey, I got this sale." He goes, "Yeah, I already saw it," right? Because he's going to get a notification on his end. How quickly are we going to be working towards dispatch already on some of this stuff?
Sure.
And then the communication on the execution is just going to be so much faster through the whole organization. We're not waiting on others. We're more aware of what has to be done in front of us, and that's all. It's going to help. It's going to reduce frustration on the inside, increase efficiencies, but in the end, that's all just going to lead to a better customer experience, better service.
Yep. Yeah, I agree completely. Just fully understanding how clunky some of those processes have been in the past. That's always the term that always comes to mind for me whenever you guys were talking about pulling those reports. It's not impossible. It's just clunky, and we're so used to things being so efficient these days, and this is going to solve a lot of those problems for us. And I liked your comment, Jason, about how the more efficient we are from our side of things, the better customer service. Because there's no doubt, that I'd rather our team be in the field helping a grower with a problem than sitting behind there trying to pull a clunky report out of our accounting system. So
I just thought of this, as we get this system where, like you said, you place an order and manager's going to be able to see that, get that in place. But then also, as we move forward as a company and we're getting more efficient on the application side with moving forward with AgSync, and the dispatching programs that we have from that side, that is automatic. That has already been talking to our accounting system. So when an applicator gets done spraying a field, gets done spreading a field, that ticket then gets sent straight to our accounting services, and that has already been moved forward. As we move forward to MFA Connect, now in reality we should be able to set that up to where the producer, that's another level where the producer.
Cameron, one thing I don't want to do, and I've learned from our partners who helped develop this MFA Connect, I don't want to overpromise.
No,
I don't want to overpromise, and I don't want to set timelines on what is here and that. But you make a good point on other systems that we're using. There is a roadmap to integrate those things.
Well,
and continue to make everything more and more simple.
Right. Well, what I was saying is just it's another level of communication. Yeah. It's another aspect of communication that we have, and with the messages and the inboxes that is in MFA Connect, this could be another way of us communicating with the producer, communicating with the manager or the dispatcher, and saying, "Hey, I placed this. We've placed this order of chemical and this CP stuff." This could be another way of them to communicate, "Hey, this is the fields I want you guys to go ahead and get to." So it's just another way of, instead of making a call, somebody write it down on a piece of paper, you have a digital copy of, "Hey, this is the fields I want to do in this order," just from that aspect. So the communication piece could become more efficient from that aspect.
Yeah, well, Cameron, reading my mind a little bit in the direction that I wanted to go. So that, or he's looking over my shoulder at my notes. I'm trying to keep them covered like a fifth grade math class here. But kind of leads me to my, kind of the last question I had for you guys was give us kind of a rundown of kind of what the launch is to customers for MFA Connect. And then, give us a little peek into the future. And I think you just did that, Jason, but maybe anything you wanted to add there as far as what's the next step for a system like this? This is not just a one-time the features that are there, and that's it. What's kind of the next step? So either of you kind of take those two questions.
So first thing, I want to make, before I start talking and rambling on, as I tend to do sometimes, I want to state something very clearly. We are still integrating inside. We with our accounting systems, right? We're still integrating with the other MFA systems right now. We want all those things to be right before we put it in the hands of producers. Really, the only customers that we've really actively put it in the hands of are customers that are also employees, right? Guys that farm on the side or have a few acres and things. They've been able to do some things really, really like it. As you can imagine, integrating anything, there's a little bit of work. So I will say that it is not ready today. If a producer were to go find it, download it, he will get a notification, say check back with us at a later date. That later date, I'm guessing, is going to be sometime early spring or late winter here. Late winter, early spring, Adam, on when that's ready.
Gotcha.
So we're working on a few of those things.
We also are putting a tremendous effort in to make sure that our employees are comfortable with and understand the tool before we launch it to customers, because we've got to make sure that our team, it's only fair to the folks that are going to be getting all the questions to make sure that they have developed a comfort level with it and have some experience. So it's actually, we haven't missed any deadlines or anything like that. This is the way that the launch was planned, is to have a very heavy internal focus to start with as far as training, such as the one we're getting ready to do actually here later today for employees. Having some employees who are customers help us test the customer facing side of it's been perfect. They've been able to help shed some light on some things that they really like, or maybe we could tweak a little bit. So. It's going well, but to Jason's point, we're not gonna unleash this thing until it's ready to go. So it's very important for all the information to be accurate and put a good first foot forward here.
Sure. And like I said, we've talked a lot about how how the button clicks and the flow is going to be, and it's a lot easier. And that all has to be working properly before we launch it, but it's soon, so that's exciting from our aspect. What did we miss as far as covering MFA Connect, guys? I mean, I think we laid out there kind of what the tool is going to be, how it helps the grower, as far as being able to be a little more on their timeline, how it helps us be more efficient. What else have we missed?
I guess all I would say, what I've seen from this tool, is that even if you categorize yourself as someone who's not tech savvy or don't use a lot of apps or technology or things, I just challenge you to download MFA Connect, whether it's on your phone or you can access it with a desktop at home or iPad at your easy chair. Try it out, get in there. I'm very confident that every one of our customers is going to be able to find some aspect of MFA Connect that they're going to like, and it's going to make their life easier. And it may just be that one time a year when your accountant or the FSA office or the lender that you get your operating note from needs some records. Again, it's all right there. You do not have to go by and wait for your local MFA to print out a bunch of stuff for you, or you do not have to try to go through all the paper stacked up on the dashboard of your pickup. It is all right there. So if at the very least, if it's just a record keeping tool for you and you use it once or twice a year, but download it, I'm going to just say that you're going to like it more than you think you might.
The first time that you can call in to a location instead of driving 30 minutes, so you guys could both be looking at the same statement, both be looking at the same invoices, because you both have them in front of you on your screen, never had been print out, and they're going to be there, right away. I think any producer will be sold on it. The cost is nothing, right? To download it, the advantages are huge, and I think it's going to be a great tool for our producers, make their lives easier, and again, for us to be more efficient, so we can serve our customers better.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys taking time to sit down with us this morning. Matt, Jason, I know you guys incredibly busy. I see all the Apple Watch looking while we're sitting here, so I know you guys are really busy. I appreciate you taking the time to sit here with Cameron and I and kind of go over some of this stuff. I know I'm excited about it from a producer standpoint, also from an employee standpoint. A system like this makes a lot of sense for us to have. So, like I said, appreciate you guys taking the time, and thanks to everybody else for listening.
Thank you
guys.
Thank you for listening to Made for Agriculture, brought to you by MFA, your whole farm solution.